Hi Brendan.
Hi James. Okay.
Any positive news on an injury front this week?
Well, James Maddison's doing very well, so we're hoping that he can be involved in the squad at the weekend. Kieran Dewsbury Hall has been back training, so he should be available for the weekend as well. So in terms of that, it's been really good.
And Perez and Pratt were close last week. Didn't make it. Are they in contention as well?
Yeah, Dennis is trained this week, so he should hopefully come into the squad. Obviously, come on in the game against Nottingham Forest, so he should be fine. And Ayo, we just have to wait and see. If it's not this weekend, then he'll be fine for next weekend.
We understand that Victor Christensen is having a medical at Leicester today. Why does he feel like the right signing at this point for Leicester?
Well, I think, listen, I'll speak about players once they're signed by the club. I think we made it clear that we wanted to bring in certain players in certain positions to strengthen the squad and freshen up the squad. So if and when the club announce the signings, then I can speak freely on them.
How much of a boost would it be to bring in a left back when you consider the issues you've had in the fullback areas in recent time?
Well, yeah, I think just strengthening the squad overall is very important. I think Luke Thomas has been brilliant for us as a young player coming out of the academy, and the number of games he's played and had to play. But I think over the course of a number of positions, you need that support, and because they can't play in every single game. So, and it is an area where we've been unfortunate really to have lost sort of two full-backs on one side with Achilles problems, which was a big blows for us. And so it has left us really only with what you consider two full-backs.
If you are able to make that signing happen in the next couple of days, would you expect there to be more before the end of the window?
Hopefully, that's the plan. I think we'd want it to strengthen, and the club are working very hard behind the scenes to do that. For me, I'm obviously concentrated on the football side and trying to prepare the team. But yeah, between now and the end of the window, we'd hope that we could freshen the squad up.
It's been a difficult run of results, but how confident are you in this group of players you've worked with for a number of years to turn things around over the coming games?
Yeah, listen, for me, everything will be okay. You know, we've been in the situation earlier in the season. I just think that once we get the players back that's available for us, and and we can get that sort of concentration back, I think that will come then. Of course, we can pick up results. I think that was the disappointment of last weekend. You know, the Premier League's it's a really, really tough league, and you have to have maximum concentration and maximum commitment every single game. And unfortunately for us, last weekend we lost our concentration in the second half early on, and that got us behind in the game. And it's a tough league. So, but yeah, I've got every confidence in the squad. I think it's been very up and down for us this season, but we're at the halfway point. We believe that the next half of games we can be better when we know we have to be better. But we feel that with this month, getting players back, getting some in, can rejuvenate the squad and get some much better results consistently.
Some key players who performed so well for you over the last few years don't appear to be playing at the level they were in the past. Firstly, do you think that's fair? And secondly, what are you doing to try and get them back to the high levels they have reached in the past?
Yeah, listen, I think there's been challenges here that's invisible for people that you wouldn't really necessarily see every day when you're not working with people. But I think for us, it's just a case of continually looking to reinforce the qualities of the players. Some of them have been here a long time. You know, maybe some players felt that they were maybe going to get moved to other clubs, so-called bigger clubs, but it hasn't quite happened. But for whatever reason, my job is to work here with the squad that's here, to try and maximise the talent. I think we've been able to do that for the majority of the time that we've been here. But there's no doubt we need to continue with that. And it's about consistency at this level. You need to be mentally ready, mentally committed, and if you can be that, then you have a chance to perform consistently.
Just finally for me, how crucial does this match feel this weekend against Brighton when you consider some of the fixtures that are coming up in February?
No, listen, it's a tough game, but every game is, and that's what is the beauty of this league. There's no respite in it. You know, you can never look at a game and say it's an easy game, and like this weekend, it's playing against a fantastic team, a club that I've really admired over the last decade or so in terms of how they've that philosophy of the club and how they then bring in players that fit that strategy, and obviously technically a very, very good team that can look after the ball really well, which then allows them to create opportunities to score goals. So Graham, they played and done fantastically well, played in many different systems. Roberto's now come in and will add his bit to it, but they got a really, really good bunch of players that play the game to technical high level, and so it's going to be a huge test for us.
Hi, Brendan.
Hi. Okay.
What type of reaction do you expect from your players after the defeat against Forest?
I think every time you lose a game, you're more determined in your next game to get a better performance and result, and this weekend's no different.
The second part of the season, is about to start. What are the main areas of improvement you hope to see from your team as a collective?
Well, I think when we're at our best, we're defending together really well, strong, everyone's synchronised, and then when we have the ball, looking after the ball, which hopefully allows us to create more opportunities, and that's certainly something that we need to be better at. So in every facet of the game, you're always looking to improve, whether on a daily basis, and certainly for us, you can see within the team that there's lots of areas that we can improve on.
And how impressed have you been with Brighton's season so far, as a team and also as a club?
Well, as I said, I think I have a huge admiration for them because I go back to, when I was Swansea City manager and looking back and looking at the story and when Gus was manager there and where they wanted to go as a club, the football strategy that they had, they wanted to play attractive attacking football, and they've built the club towards that, and they're now very much an established club in the Premier League. Now we've got a great stadium, terrific training facility, and the recruitment is second to none in terms of bringing in players that fit in with how they want to play. And obviously when you do that, you then can select your managers that can come in and coach and work that way. So from a club perspective, it's been very impressive by them in terms of the players and the markets that they've been able to get the players in. It's been very, very impressive, and of course the quality of players that they have. They're hugely impressive.
In terms of their style of play, any big differences you notice from the Graham Potter time to Roberto Di Zerbi?
No, not really. That's why I say that there's a football philosophy at the club, and then each manager will come in and bring in their own slant on it as such. But whatever system they've played, when they played 3-4-3 with Graham or 4-4-2 or whatever system it was, the football was clear. Roberto's come in, he has a way in which he likes to attract teams onto them so they can play through them quickly and get beyond. The shape of the team will adapt from when they're pressing to when they don't have it. But inside of that, they have really technical, gifted players who understand football. They have a World Cup winner now, which will inspire confidence for the rest of the players. And so the football identity is still very much there. And that's, the credit to the club, because they'll bring in managers that fit the way the club want to work.
Jason, please, talk.
Does work. Hi, Brendan.
Okay, Jason.
Antonio Conte said on Tuesday he doesn't really understand why in England more of the hierarchy of football clubs, maybe director of football, chairman, owners, speak to the media like they do in Italy. Do you agree with that sentiment?
I can't really speak for other clubs, Jason. I think I can only look at from within here. I have a very good relationship with the the owners here. Our communication is good. I understand where Antonio's coming from because, like I said, sport directors have been in Europe much longer than they have been in this country. And I think if you look in Italy or you look in Germany as well, those guys will speak out based around the strategy of the club, and the managers or head coaches are basically speaking only on football. But I think for here, it's maybe something that in the future it goes along that line, which we've seen how the game has progressed here in many ways. But at this moment in time, you can only work as you do within your own club, and here I've got a really open line of communication and good working relationship with the board and the executives, and but yeah, we'll see in time if that develops.
In terms of the communication from, say, the board to the fans here at this football club, I know you've mentioned in the past that you are the most senior person to speak to the media on a regular basis. Do you understand maybe some of the fans' frustrations when they are getting more information that perhaps they would like?
Yeah, I think now that the transparency is very important for everyone, and in particular supporters. You know, and I have real empathy for the supporters because they look at where we've been in the last few years, challenging for Champions League positions, winning trophies, to then all of a sudden not being able to sign players and suffering a bit. So I totally get that, and it is important. And I think the club have always, and the ownership here have always had an incredible relationship with the supporters. And my message to them is really to ensure that they trust the board here. The owner's amazing. You know, for as long as I'm here or when I move on from here, whenever that is, I'll always say that. He's absolutely incredible for the football club and what he and the family have given this club. Then I'm sure the supporters will always be thankful for that. But make no mistake about it, you know, I spoke to Top yesterday when he was here, and he's so determined and so ambitious for the club to be the best that it can be. And of course, at this moment in time, this season's been a challenge for us, and you know, recruitment of players and whatever else. But it doesn't lessen the ambition of him and the board. So that's something that's, you know, should be great news for the supporters. But I totally understand that we're in a position where we haven't been for a few years, and that can be tough to take.
Does that ambition continue to be what it was when you joined the football club? I know it's a difficult season. Hopefully the worst won't happen this campaign. I know you talked about a relegation battle, but going forward 2, 3, 4 years, if you're at the helm, of course, do you still feel that ambition to be amongst the elite maybe and try and disrupt them, as you've said in the past? Yeah,
I just think we have to do it in a different way, because the financial resources that are available to us just aren't the same. But we have to, it just means then off the field you have to be really clever in your recruitment and your strategy in terms of your overall vision. And that's something that, whilst I'm here, I will continue to always fight for. Because like I said, the ambition when I joined this club was to disrupt the market, and we were in a great position to do that. Pandemic and like I said, some of the other invisible challenges that people on the outside wouldn't see has made it really difficult for us. But we have to find a way, and I think over the course of this next 12 months or so, there'll be change within the squad naturally because of players' contracts and situations, and that allows the team to then probably grow again. But certainly for this moment in time now, in the short to intermediate term, there's a challenge here that we're all ready to embrace. The players will fight for that, like we all will do. And I think come the season, like I said, everything will be okay. We just need to get over this period now, and the only way you do that is by constantly working and fighting together.
Whether it's a battle to try and get to Europe as you had done previously, or to win a trophy, or be in the semi-final of a European competition, what kind of attributes do you need for a different kind of battle, a relegation battle? Is it any different?
Well, it is different, that's for sure. I think I just think that, listen, it's very early. We're obviously halfway through the season, and we aim to be clearly much better in the second part of the season. But I think what's important is that we stay calm with it. There's always disappointment after you lose a game, especially in the second half performance. However, the one thing that I've had, and I've had this group of players here for nearly 4 years now, most of them, that they're a conscientious group who will fight, and they will run, and they will work, and that's something that certainly when you're in an area of the table where it is so close, that's the obligation, and the players are ready to do that. And if we can add quality and get some of the players back, then I think we'll be in a really good position.
I mean, James talked about some of the out-of-form players perhaps this season. One of those, Jamie Vardy, who's found it difficult to score goals in the Premier League. I think he's only one away at Wolves this season. Especially given his legendary status at the football club, is it kind of sad to see where he's at the moment?
No, listen, Jamie's is an amazing player for this club, and will always go down as one of the great legends of the club. And unfortunately, it happens to everyone. You know, it's there's always periods in players' career where it just starts to dip, and we've seen it with all the great players, and Jamie's a great player for the club. And that's why I was always cautious, like I was saying at the beginning of the season, with everything else, that we have to be careful with him. He's a great player to have in our squad, and whether he starts or comes off the bench, he can make an impact. But we can't be reliant just on Jamie. So yeah, it's the obligation for everyone to score goals, not just his. But I think however it goes for him here at the club, I don't think we can take away everything that he's done before. And but also, it happens to every player. Otherwise, some of the great legends of the game will be still playing to this very day, but they're not. It's time catches up with everyone. But he's still very determined to make whatever impact he can for the club, and I'm glad he's here to do that.
Just a couple more from me. Obviously, since Polo Tora left to go to Wigan, you've been a coach down in that respect. How does it work, maybe on a day-to-day basis at the training ground? How hands-on are you at the moment with the coaching, and how does it look really?
Yeah, well, I think obviously my role, when I first come into clubs, I normally really put in place the philosophy and the identity of the team by coming in and coaching a lot. Like you say, that was my natural habitat out on the pitch, and then as time goes on, you give more ownership to the coaches you have, and I get some fantastic coaches here. And like I say, you can't do it all on your own. Maybe when you're a young manager, you think you can, but you certainly can't. The game now is there's so much involved in it. So I've got Chris Davies, my assistant manager, who's a fantastic coach, along with Adam Sadler, who's an outstanding coach, been here for a number of years. We've got Lars Knudsen, who will obviously look at the set pieces. Got Mike Stowell, been here a long time, very experienced coach with our goalkeepers. And then myself as an added coach where needed. So between us all, we put in place the coaching program in order to maximise what we can get out of the players, and that's how it works on a daily basis. Sometimes I'll be hands-on in it. It's my responsibility always to set the tactics for the team, and I'll always deliver that. Then throughout the week, the other coaches will specialise in certain aspects of the game that we want to focus on in preparation for the opponents that we play. And we leave no stone unturned in terms of our work and our detail and the hours that we put into that. So that's something that we've always done. We'll always be critical and analyse areas where we can improve and look for constant improvement. So that's virtually on on a daily basis. There's lots of detail, of course, around it, and we leave here late at night, having spent all of our day here. But it's one of the aspects of life which I think that never leaves you, and that is constant work, and that's something that we do here to try and do the best we can for the club.
Yeah, it actually does sound really fascinating. Just one final one from me. You talked about how fans feed off the players, players feed off the fans. How can they work together this Saturday to create that special atmosphere and get the result that's needed?
Yeah, well, I think that's firstly our job, to inspire the supporters. You know, we have to deliver a performance that really ensures that they get behind the team, and obviously vice versa. I think when Leicester City's at its best, whether when I've come here as an opposition manager, but certainly my time here as a manager, when there's been that connection and that tightness with the team, then that really, really helps the players. And they've produced so many great memories and performances in my time here, and that has always been with the supporters. You know, so I think that it's up to us initially. We have to make the start in the game. We have to show that determination and that commitment. And once you do that, the supporters recognise that, and then they really get behind the team, and we can do that. And for us, it's so important now in this time to be together. That solidarity is so important. Clubs like ourselves and where we're at in the Premier League and the challenges that we face, we can only do it together. And if that's fragmented in any way, it makes it so challenging and what is the most competitive league in the world. So hopefully, like I said, it's up to us to inspire the supporters, but from the off, they can come to support rather than maybe have disappointment from what's happened before. This is a new game. It's like the same with the players. It's a new opportunity for us, and let's go and attack the game and let's see if we can get the result. Thank you.
Hi, Brendan.
Okay, on. Yeah.
On Iosi Perez, what was the issue that may or may not keep him out of the game this weekend?
He'd obviously played in the games. He felt a slight awareness of his muscle, a muscle issue. He's been out on the training field, and we think that he could be involved at the weekend, but it might be too much of a risk. And I think he'd been in the 3 games in sort of quick succession, and he just felt it. But he's a good healer, Io, so he may well get through for the weekend. If not, then he'll definitely train next week and be ready for the cup game.
Good stuff. On James Maddison as well, I know you said there may be a chance that he might be in the squad this weekend. Where are his fitness levels in terms of perhaps the number of minutes that you might like to give to him? I.e., is he fit to start, or is he more in the squad this weekend?
Yeah, he would. Hopefully he's going to be in the squad. I think we need to manage that game time consciously, because it's been a long time since he's actually played and not trained so much. He's worked very hard in the gym and with the medical team behind the scenes. But just seeing him out on the pitch this week, he's such a gift for us to have as a player, I have to say. The difference he makes for us, the confidence he gives other players, and that's when you know you have an outstanding player, because he makes the others better. So it's been great to see he's ticking the boxes that he needed to, getting through on the fitness front. We'll see finally how he comes through that tomorrow. He's trained a few days this week, looked so good, and with so much quality and determination. So we're hoping that tomorrow he's come through our last session okay, and then he can be involved in the squad. And then it's just a case of picking the right moments of when to put him in.
On the transfer window, Brendan, you mentioned that there may be some departures in earlier interviews this window, some of those young players, but I wonder whether any of those may be a little bit closer to happening, whether perhaps they actually have to happen this window in order to bring new players in.
Well, I think for some players between now and the end of the window, there'll be some activity around that. I think there'll be some based around especially our younger players maybe getting some loans to gain experience. I think the challenge has always been for us that for players to go in to come in, we have to try and get players out. But you can only get players out if teams want the players, you know. So that's the complexity of it. It's something that it'll be ongoing between now and the end of the window. So we just have to assess and see what that is. But hopefully we can get a few more in, and then there might be some guys that will go out in order to get some game time.
You've been asked about Victor Christiansen already, but you also mentioned Luke Thomas whilst talking about him as well. I wonder, in the second part of the season, how good that competition will be for Luke, because I always remember you saying that competition's the best coach.
Yeah, and that's the thing that unfortunately we've suffered from. You know, I think that there's talk about players and maybe why they're maybe not at the same level as what they maybe were a few years ago. Partly of that is because of competition. You know, you really need someone there. Most players at this level respond to that. If someone's breathing down their neck, to take the shirt. But I also think it's for the health of the player as well. Like, it's, you know, they can't play, especially a young player. You know, they cannot play in every single game. So for me, it's important that we support our younger players and that we have competition for them, but also where you can take a player out and then stick another one in. And then it's, like I said, it's about that competition. You want to stay in the team, and if you're fighting every day to improve, to be better, to stay in the team, then that will make you a better player. So we need that across the squad. And but Luke Thomas has been fantastic from when I first played him during the pandemic. The games that he's played in and the performances that he's played in, he's been absolutely outstanding for me. And still so young, will play a big part in this club and in our squad. And it'll hopefully be good to bring in another young player to compete with.
Final one from me, Brendan. But on Brighton this weekend, I wonder what you made and what you have made in your preparation to their build-up play. I saw a lot of analysis around the two central defenders and the two holding midfielders, and that appeared to be quite a big part in the way they build deeper in the pitch in their win over Liverpool. I wonder what you made to that in your analysis.
Yeah, it's something that I've seen quite a bit from them, and obviously from Roberto's time in Italy. Yeah, it's that they try to attract you out of position so they can then exploit the space in behind that. And what they have in the two controlling players, the two centre halves, obviously Lewis Dunk's an outstanding player. He hasn't had the credit, Lewis, that he deserves. This is a top player who's great in the air, the top defender. But if you see his use of the ball, his calmness, I'd seen his debut as a young player when he was 17 for Brighton, and followed his career ever since. And he's an outstanding captain for them. But he's a really, really intelligent player. Levi, who's playing alongside him now, Caldwell, who's on loan from Chelsea, again naturally left-footed. Both players comfortable with the ball. And then in front of that, you have McAllister and Caicedo, who are brilliant technicians who can play one-touch football. So when you can do that in that box and that draws teams onto you, then you have the ability to play quickly behind that. And that's what they try to do. So that's something that we've looked at, something that we'll finalise on tomorrow. But any game always presents a different challenge for you. That'll be a challenge that they present, and because they're technically so good.